Senator Cayetano.
We have integrated, Mr. President, all the possible proposed amendments, and it is now
On that
Senator
line, on that line.
on that particular line, and it's Senator Pia. May I move that Senator Pia Cayetano be recognized?
Senator Cayetano is recognized. Can you please state the page and the line?
Yes, Mr. President, it's page 5, line 10, starting on line 10. Okay?
Please proceed.
Mr. President, I think for simplicity, because I have 5 different amendments in this 5-line paragraph, I will make it simpler and read into the record my substitute paragraph. That will be simpler, Your Honor. This is an amendment of Senator Lawrence, Senator Joel Villanueva, and many others. So just stand to be recognized or wave your hand if you want to be associated with this amendment. And Senator Bato, by the way. So the amendment will read as follows on line 10. Delete that whole paragraph, and then line 10, starting line 10, this is the amendment. The government agencies and GOCCs providing for the social security and public health insurance of government employees, private sectors, workers and employees, and other sectors and subsectors such as, but not limited to, the Government Service Insurance System, Social Security System, Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, and Home Development Mutual Fund shall be absolutely prohibited, whether mandatory or voluntary, to contribute to the capitalization of the MIC. Mr. President, the rationale for this, as many of our colleagues, including this representation, has manifested on the floor, in as much as we truly hope that the fund will be successful, the corporation, the fund will be successful. We would like to ensure that the pension funds and the aforementioned funds would not be touched, Your Honor, to at least preserve this, because we have had experiences in the past where the hard-earned money of our people were lost. So this is the amendment, Your Honor, we submit.
And I think there's also an amendment to the amendment by Senator Grace Po.
No, Mr. President, I'd just
Sorry.
like to also associate myself
You want that?
with that proposed amendment, which we actually submitted to the good sponsor
Wait, let's-
with the same rationale to protect the social security funds and other funds of our citizens from being unduly risked for investments.
Yes, we put that on record.
Because it can cut both ways, but as it stands right now, I think that it is pretty safe where it is invested at this juncture. So that's all,
We
Mr.
put
President.
that on record.
Your Honor, if I may add to that, I thank Her Honor Senator Grace Po for adding to that. To be clear, what we're saying is those funds are doing well, as Her Honor has said, and we don't want to risk it any further. And the example I gave is that with PhilHealth, 75 billion is already invested in Land Bank and Development Bank. And Land Bank and Development Bank are the initial contributors to this fund. So to the argument na kawawa naman, hindi makikinabang kung kikita yung fund na yan, makikinabang naman po, because their investments and Land Bank and Development Bank will redound to their benefit if this fund is successful. So that is enough exposure to this humble mind of this representation and our colleagues who support the amendment, Your Honor.
Before the gentleman answers the request for this amendment, for the most of this amendment, may we ask Senator Pia to read that on the screen above her and see if that is the exact wording that she used?
Can I read it and then
Yes,
I
can you
ask
read it once
somebody-
again?
I will read it from my laptop, and then can somebody else read it from there? So
Yes, please. I will read it together with your reading. I'll listen to your
thank you.
amendment.
The government agencies and GOCCs providing for the social security and public health insurance of government employees, private sectors, workers and employees, and other sectors and subsectors, such as but not limited to the Government Service Insurance System, Social Security System, Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, and Home Development Mutual Fund.
Yes, so that they did not include their, 1 second. They
Yes.
did not include TIVA, okay.
Philippine
Yes, Mr.
veterans.
President, if I may, Mr. President, with the indulgence of our distinguished colleague, after the word development, comma, home development mutual fund, comma, and other private funds held in trust by the government. And other private funds held in trust by the government. And that's the main reason, Mr. President, why we included OWA to ensure that we will, the MIC will deviate from even
Maybe ask-
entertaining the idea.
For my information only, or the information of others who are interested, may you give examples of other private funds held in trust?
Because that is the what is written in the OWA charter, Mr. President. Just to put on record, Mr. President, because it does not include anymore the royalties, Mr. President. If some of our colleagues were asking, what about royalties from mining firms, Mr. President, that became part of a private fund, Mr. President? That's not included, Mr. President. Just to be clear.
Other private funds held in trust by government. I'm just trying to get a bigger, better picture for other. Would Senator Angara know any private funds held in trust by government?
Actually, Mr. President, what I'm doing is I recall when we passed the Unifast law, there were a lot of funds that were set aside for the dependents of this group, the dependents of that group.
But this is
So
private funds.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out the private funds. So it's private sector funds or collections from the private sector?
Really, private sector funds, Mr. President. Collected, Mr. President. Mr. President, just to fast track the process, Mr. President, I can withdraw that particular provision, Mr. President. It's just that we are putting it, Mr. President, because of the fact that we wanted to make sure that OWA funds will not be included, Mr. President.
But I just want to be, just like Senator Tolentino, we just want to be specific.
Yes.
We mention a particular fund. So OWA is very clear. OWA is already there. I think what you're trying to say, if there is, for example, for OFW sector, when they travel, they have a contribution. So yun yung private funds held in trust by government. But I think OWA, including OWA would suffice. I think. I'm worried, I'm not sure about other government agencies. But we'll ask the sponsor, does the sponsor accept?
Yes, the amendments of Senator Cayetano, I accept.
Thank you very much. It's duly accepted.
Yung sa kanya, accept, yeah.
The gentleman has
I
accepted.
accept, subject to style.
So even the private funds?
Huh?
No, you withdrew the private funds.
Yeah, remember, Mr.
I
President, it's not
accept,
just
I said
Senator
Senator
Pia
Cayetano, so.
Yeah, it's not just Senator Pia
I'm waiting
Cayetano's
for your
amendment,
motion.
Mr. President.
I know you're in the middle of your motion. The Senate President asked me about if I accepted Senator Cayetano's motion, so I said I accept Senator Cayetano's, and now I'm. So yours.
No, but you withdrew the
That's
motion.
part of my amendment, Mr. President. I'm just saying and stating for the record, that's also part of my amendment, Mr. President. I just wanted to put that on record.
Yes, no, I had asked you, Majority Leader, and you had mentioned basically that you're willing to
Yes,
withdraw.
Mr. President.
So will you withdraw?
Yeah,
or-
I will, Mr. President, if that is the pleasure of the body and the
Actually, there's nothing wrong with your amendment. It's just that
Mr.
we want to
President,
be clear.
but my attention was Mr. President called upon when the sponsor said it's just the amendment of Senator Cayetano, but there's so many amendments coming from that particular amendment from Senator Ligarda, Senator Poe, Senator Bato, and this representative. I just want to put that on record.
Sure, sure.
Thank you, Mr. President.
On record, it's on record. Okay, please proceed, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, we're on page 5, line 23.